I just want to do a little video about money in Narcotics Anonymous, where it comes from, where it goes, and how we're actually spending our money. This video is made in love in order to educate the fellowship as to what goes on and to have open door policy. So let's start by taking a look at the budget report. Here's a copy of the budget report, and now let's look at it up close so we can see more detail. So as you can see here, this is the proposed budget for 2015 and 2016. There'll see some things on here that you'll find very interesting, at least I did. Feel free to stop this video at any time so that you can check out the numbers and look at things in more detail. But one of the things that I noticed is that most of our income comes from literature sales. Looks like we have over $19 million budgeted here, and you'll see that there's a couple of $1 million just in key tags and chips alone. The basic text by far is the biggest at almost $4 million in income coming from coming from those sources. Now we'll just look at the cost section of this report, and as you can see that those basic text cost just over $700,000. The medallions just over 3, and the key tags just over 5. Bottom line, the total cost of our merchandise is just over $4 million. That's including Iran. We generate a net income that's after our income subtracting the cost of over $15 million. So that makes it very clear that we're getting just over $15 million in income from literature sales and merchandise. This is the next page of the report. I think that we should look at this in a little bit more detail. So as you can see here, this is money that's coming in from fellowship contributions, donations from areas, groups, members, and what have you. And it looks like we have just over $1.5 million coming in from donations from our groups and areas and regions and events and things like that. The bottom half is just a little bit of extra money that we get in through the vendors and things like that. Now I find this page pretty interesting. This is our expenses, and our literature production and distribution by far is our biggest income, but you'll see that there's quite a bit of expenses involved with that. And then we also have expenses with the World Service Conference. A couple of things that I thought was the most interesting. Our biggest expenses are personnel and overhead. As you can see, we have over $2.4 million in personnel, and then we have $1.3 million in overhead, and that's for the literature. And then for the World Service Conference, we still have almost $1.5 million in expenses for personnel and $800,000 in overhead. That seems to be a little high, in my opinion. So let's just jump to the next page of this report and check that out. So here's the section on fellowship development, putting the money back, and you'll see here that it looks like we have $5 million, just over $5 million, in putting the money back to fellowship development. But it's interesting to see that over $2 million has gone to personnel and over $1 million to overhead. We'll have to check this out a little bit in more detail later. But anyway, that's that section of this report. So let's just do a little bit of the number crunching and look at the details here. Here's a page that is everything from the budget all in one spot. This is the top half of the page, the expense section. And as you can see, that shows combined total expenses of $23,851,425. So that seems to be quite a bit of expense. That's with WSC and NAS, but most of that is going to the NAS expenses. The biggest expense that we have is in personnel, as you can see, is $6.8 million, and just under that is overhead at 3.7, and the cost of the literature 3.1. So you can see we got some pretty heavy expenses, especially in personnel. And of course, here's the bottom half of that page where it talks about our income. And as you can see, most of our income is coming in through literature sales, over $16.5 million in literature sales. And then other inventory, that's our key tags, things like that. That is another $4.6 million. So our total income is $24 million, and most of that's coming, like I said, into the items that we are selling. So I thought I'd also put this sheet up here, which gives us a 10-year overlay of expenses. So that gives us more to look at. We're about to go into detail on where the money's coming from and where the money's going to. We're going to examine things a little bit more and find out what this budget's all about. So first here we're going to look at where our money's coming from. As you can see here, our income is mostly coming from literature sales. We do got a big bulk of over $4.5 million coming from other inventory, key tags, medallions, mugs, things like that. But the most of it, over $6.5 million, is coming from recovery literature. We do have, just over $1 million coming from shipping, and fellowship contributions is only $1.5 million. So our fellowship contributions, by passing the basket, what we give from the fellowship is actually less than 10% of our income that goes towards NOS. Wait a minute, the majority of our income is coming from charging addicts for the literature that we need to recover? Really? At least the markups are fair, right? Well, you tell me. Take a look at this chart. A basic text costs $2.15. We're selling it for $11.55. We're getting a profit of $3.2 million. That's profit off of the books that addicts need most to recover. We're charging the newcomers. Many call this the newcomer tax. Look at the key tags and medallions. They cost 10 cents, and we're selling them for 44 cents. You can see the markups are very high. You can also see it in the medallions. 69 cents, selling it for 3.2. Is this really our celebration of recovery? By charging these kind of markups? I think we need to look at this a little bit further. So here's a 10-year chart of profit, $81.2 million. Think that might be a little bit excessive? Look, the majority of it's coming from recovery literature. This is all happening under the watch of our world board. Where's our money going to? What's happening with it? Well, here's a 10-year average each year where the money's gone. As you can see, personnel has $3.3 million and overheads $1.5 million. This is the last 10 years under the watch of the World Board through NOS Incorporated. So as you can see, things seem to be a little bit out of hand here. If you look, here's a breakdown of the expenses. So this is a sheet that'll show you the top expenses, and we'll look into this in a little bit more detail. Our number one expense is personnel at $6.8 million. What that includes is wages, salaries, payroll taxes, health, workers' comp insurance, training, recruitment, relocation, retirement plans, all branches of World Service. $6.8 million is being spent just on personnel alone. Our basic text was written by addicts for addicts. It was truly a labor of love. Who's really benefiting from this labor of love when we have $6.8 million going out just in personnel alone? This is an interesting documentation to look at. As you can see, the wages have been increasing every year. Annual raises. And if you want to find out what's going on more recently, I suggest that you go to the Charity Research tool at the California Attorney General site. Just plug in the NOS EIN number. That's 953090596. See for yourself. I think you'll find out that Anthony's salary keeps getting higher and higher and higher. Our second highest expense is overhead at $3.7 million. Now, that's for the facility, which is a lease, by the way. We don't own it. It was auctioned recently, and wonder who owns that. Anyway, it also includes maintenance, repair, telephones, utilities, auto services. It even includes things as, a lease, car leases, and It seems like our employees have company cars. Anyway, that's all associated with the 5 branches of the World Service Office. And these continue to rise, and that's all in our records, so it's all there for you to see. The question I have is, do we really need to pay for that expensive, prestigious office in Los Angeles? Why can't we go to the Midwest or somewhere where it's a lot cheaper, and that way we could have more to give back to the fellowship? Well, one good thing is at least we have the World Board that can keep watch over the corporation. We have a World Board that can keep it in check, right? When I look at the chart, I see that our 8th highest expense is the World Board. We pay over $500,000. The World Board meets 8 times in the conference cycle, plus the conference itself. With the election of the World Board, that's a full board from diverse locations, but we pay over $500,000 to the World Board. So what really is the World Board? Are they a group of addicts that keeps NOS in check? Or are they just some people that have been elected by us that get to travel around to places 9 times a year at our expense? Is Narcotics Anonymous really bankrolling a prestigious travel club? There's the reimbursement policy. $55 a day for meals. $35 a day for gas. Look, they can even get their money in advance. Check it out. Is it really all about the money? I mean, aren't we here, one addict to help another addict freely? It can't be that bad, right? What about when a new group registers? What does a new group receive from the corporation when they register as a new meeting online? Well, we did that last year. We registered our home group, and this is what we got. We got a group booklet, we got an order form from NOS, and we got all the IPs about the money, a treasurer's workbook. Everything that we received was about the money. We received nothing from recovery. No readings, not even a little white book. So I asked you, is NOS really all about the money? I mean, isn't it clear that this corporation is just a huge publishing company that makes the dollars off of addicts? What it really comes down to is that the service structure is not Narcotics Anonymous. NA is a nonprofit fellowship or society of men and women for whom drugs have become a major problem. We are recovering addicts who meet regularly to help each other stay clean. That's not the service structure. It's recovery meetings. NA is where we go to get clean. NA is where we go to share our recovery. That's not what we do in service. Not that service is not important, but that's not Narcotics Anonymous. Our 6th tradition states, an NA group ought never lend the NA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, or prestige divert us from our primary purpose. Isn't it clear that the NOS Corporation is an outside enterprise? That we, in our meetings, are addicts, and that is Narcotics Anonymous. It's real simple. Money, property, and prestige have taken over, just like it is warned in our 6th tradition. NA is a nonprofit fellowship or a society of men and women for whom drugs have become a major problem. We are recovering addicts who meet regularly to help each other stay clean. All else is not Narcotics Anonymous. I made this video with the help of some others, and it's made with love to help educate the fellowship regarding money issues. Bottom line, as recovering addicts, we need each other to stay clean. We need other addicts, but that's not how the corporation says it. At the last WSC, they closed with a song. And I think you'll get a kick out of this, because this is how the corporation views how important they are to Narcotics Anonymous. That is RRDs laughing in the background. However, I do not consider it a laughing matter when I see all the money that's wasted. That's $16 million wasted when addicts are dying in the Philippines and addicts are suffering all over the world and they really need our help. When a small portion of that's only sent, we really need to get free literature out to addicts. As home groups, we need to take over the fellowship, get together, make the home group strong again. Know that God speaks in our group conscience in the home group. Together, we need each other. We don't need the corporation. We need each other. And like it says in the basic text, together we face the world clean.